Okay, um, it's really hot again. 106 yesterday, 103 today. Well, it may get hotter today. They say 103. Ways to keep cool, but I gotta eat too. So I did that the other day, early in the morning. Went up to the mountains yesterday, but when we came back, it was still really hot. Okay, I got a zucchini out of my garden this morning, and I used half of it, and I blended it in my blender with some milk until it was just liquid. And then I went ahead and added all my other smoothie and regular, there was some fruit, milk, and some spices, and a little smoothie, just a smoothie blend, whatever you like. This is a hot banana pepper. I'm going to cook it with some potatoes and garlic, and the rest of this is zucchini. And then I went to a ranch and got some pork chops. So I'm cooking those, and I am sweating like you wouldn't believe, and I've got the AC going, but even with the AC going, I got to drink lots of liquid. That's really, really important. So I'm going to go get my glass of chocolate peppermint water I have sitting in the other room and drink some of that. And then I'm going to do a bunch of little shorts and put them together on staying cool. This is just what I'm doing. You want to get a lot of greens and liquids, so that smoothie this morning was great, and then you got the vitamins of the raw zucchini in it, and you don't taste it. Zucchini takes on the flavor of whatever you're using it with, so that was great. Okay, now I'm walking out in the back orchards. Not only do you want to keep yourself cool when you're up in the hundreds like this, but you've got to think about your animals, and we've had an infestation of black widows. It's been bad, but that thing was full of them, so had to get that out of the pen. I don't have my goats anymore. They're over at my daughter's. We had to move the chickens back here, but it has been so nice having them out of the way, but it was just so hot. So about 8 this morning, I was in the middle, and it was just me without help, so it doesn't look the greatest, but I had a shade cloth, and even though it's the morning sun, it was just so hot. So I went ahead and put that around to give them shade from the morning sun, and then the back shades them from the afternoon. Hey, babies. Are you okay in there? Huh? Are you okay in there? Well, it's a little bit cooler than it was. Yesterday when we got home from the mountains, I had to hook up hoses and drag out here. And I just sprayed the chickens down and everything in here and made sure their water was topped off. And I thought, this is ridiculous. My chickens can't stand this. I'm trying to get them used to this cage. I might let them out about an hour before their bedtime tonight. And then they can always go up that direction. There are some trees right at the end to get shade, and it's a little cooler from where it had irrigated. But they only irrigate once a month, but still cooler on that end. That's where the goats used to like to hang out. So yeah, you got to think about your animals, and even putting up the shade cloth. These poor girls are hot. I can't let them out any earlier. They're going to try to go back to the house yard, and we put some stuff. We had to put stuff around the outside. That's another reason we left. I never used poison, but we have to. I can't be bit by black widows or my animals, my chihuahuas and all of that, because we were just being inundated with black widows. They started last year, and this year it's just really bad. This heat's drawing in all the bugs. So, yeah, you got to think about your animals and staying cool. We got the spray from a family member that does pest control, and we don't want regular spraying of poisons. I've never sprayed anything. My apricot trees they used to have this thing, and the owner said, you should spray them. I said, I don't want any spray. And this year, finally, the trees have developed an immunity to whatever it was eating all those holes through the leaves. But there's other problems. There's always something. It's always a fight, but you have to keep fighting. But anyway, I was going to say about the black widows. We sprayed ourselves. We got some spray from him, and we sprayed ourselves. And he knows how I am. I'm sure he's been told. But we had to do something. I couldn't get rid of them, and they were getting really bad, and they were getting really big, some of them. Well, we have all sizes, but I've seen the biggest one I've ever seen. I mean, that thing was huge on our front wall and the front not inside the house, but on the outside. And I said, that's too close. So yeah, we had to spray. So I had to put the chickens in the back, which I've kind of liked them being out of the way. But they do eat bugs around the house. So I need to get in another gate if we can. And then let them up here into the yard occasionally and just spend a day eating bugs. But it didn't help with the black widows, so even though they were eating lots, it didn't help with the black widows. Heat will bring in bugs but even with the heat, protecting your animals from that, you need to protect them from poisons and stuff, which is why we took all of the dogs and left for the day, because we sprayed in the morning, and then I had my chickens out back so they wouldn't be around it. Okay, this is my finished little meal. I didn't eat anything solid this morning. It's around noon now, and I will just do liquid type stuff for the rest of the day. But I had to have a little bit of solid. I was getting kind of hungry. But yeah, hydrating is really, really important. And you have to eat. As hot as it is, you don't want to eat probably as much solids, though. I notice if you watch your animals that in their heat, they won't eat a lot. So that's another thing. A couple years ago, I had a big pile of wood chips here. The wood chip company had dropped off. All that's left is just maybe an inch on the ground, if that much. I've been trying to scrape up some. I'm supposed to get some more from someone I know that they're going to be doing a bunch of wood chipping, and they're going to bring me the wood chips, supposedly. But I don't know when, and I need it now. So let me show you a few things that you can do with your plants. Okay, it's very different growing now than when I was a kid. You just didn't grow underneath trees and stuff. But now you do. Or you have some sort of coverings for your plants, like my shade cloth that I have back there over my little hoop area. But also, something that I do is when I'm planting in my big boxes, I don't bring the dirt clear up to the top. There's pros and cons. With everything you get, you lose something, and with everything you lose, you gain something. But that could be for another video. But what I'll say about this is it does seem to keep it cooler. And then planting in groupings, keeping your plants in groups, because all the plant material kind of holds moisture when you have your plants in groups. I was worried about planting here. I guess it's just something that was ingrained in me when I was young. But actually, my plants that are in the shade tend to do better. I mean, they have to have some sun. That's true. If they get too much shade, they don't produce. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, this purple cauliflower has a head on it. Can you see that? I don't know if you could see that. I kind of reached my hand over there. I'm hoping for seed from that. It is so beautiful. My other one, it's either behind or it's got too much shade because it's surrounded by all of these big plants, which I thought would keep it cooler, and it does. And in the afternoon and different times of day, it'll get some sun, but not as much as that one's getting. And the shade does come over that for several hours in the afternoon, so it's not getting too much sun, but it is getting enough sun to form a head, whereas this one is growing pretty good, and it might still form a head. It just might be behind because it doesn't have as much sun. We'll see what happens, but it's so hot, and it's a cruciferous, and they don't like the heat, but I am really, really wanting some seed from these plants. So we'll see. I want to grow some this winter. I love purple cauliflower, and I can't seem to find the organic kind around here in the stores. But yeah, you have to build little areas together with your plants. It's down low in the box to give more shade, but in the winter time, there's probably too much shade, so it's pros and cons as to how you want to do your garden and your areas. Now, look at this tomato plant. It's really been growing here in the shade, but it does get sun. But it's under the tree, and it only gets it in the morning and in the afternoon, but for a good part late afternoon, evening. But for a good part of the day, now that plant behind it is a transplant, and I don't think it's going to make it. So it's just too hot. I had to move it, and then this heat hit, and it didn't like that. It was too much shock at once. These are growing well here, too, in the shade, but like I said, they do get some sun. So this one, I don't have a lot of plants around it, but there is a little tree behind it. Look at my cucumber. And I just cut a big old zucchini. You've seen part of that. This ugly bucket over here, it's chicken manure with water. I just poured some of the liquid out and poured it on some of my potted plants. But I've been trying to put them together in groupings as time goes, and rearranging things as the sun changes too. As you go later in the summer, the sun and the shade and all that changes somewhat. The nice thing about pots, you can move them around, even though sometimes they get kind of heavy. I have a lot of stuff grouped together here, of course. And then I tried grouping a lot of things in this area, but over here on that side is just so freaking hot. I was supposed to get one of those canopy to put up over here, but when I went to try to find them, they're sold out. So things are getting really hard to find in the stores, unusual things. And our choices are being limited, and they've already been limited from when I was a kid, I think, but they're really getting limited now. In here, I've got a shade cloth. So that's another way to kind of keep your plants from burning up, because they tend to just burn up in the direct sun. The worst sun comes from that direction, so I had it up here. But these are just a few things. Let's see. Today is June 1st already? Or the 31st. That's Tuesday. So, yeah, things aren't as exactly as I'd have them, but I'm pleased with the crazy weird weather. From cold to scorching hot. And that's a brassica there. That's doing well, which is really unusual. These strange plants, I mentioned them in another video because they came from apparently a plant that was hybrid. Look at that. Look at that funny fruit. I don't know what that is. These were supposed to be cantaloupe from the same seed, from the same cantaloupe. One turned into this, and the other one turned in my other plant down there from the same cantaloupe as a watermelon, so I know it's hybrid. Okay, here we go here. This is the one I was telling you about. Now, that looks like watermelon leaves to me. So I guess it was an organic hybrid, because I don't usually get any that aren't organic. But that's what I got out of the same cantaloupe. I know what a watermelon seed looks like, and it was a cantaloupe seed, but a watermelon came up. So, well, I guess old-time farmers wouldn't have run into that too much. Us new people, we live in a different world now, so you just don't know what you're going to get, but it's kind of interesting. This is from my society garlic. And it doesn't smell like garlic. Not really. The leaves have a slight flavor of it. But it's kind of cool. Not really cool, but compared to standing out in the sun right here under this big old tree. So these plants are doing pretty well, I guess, considering. And look at my holy basil coming up. I'm so excited. My pomegranate's slow, but then it's a little tree. Trees will be slow. And then I have a few carrots. I must have just thrown the last of my carrot seeds in here. I vaguely remember doing that. I had to put them somewhere, and I thought, this thing looks pretty barren. Always I'm looking out for weeds. I really like my little flowers there, too. They just are popping out. So, I don't know. The sun is cooking some things, and some things I've had protected, but we have to protect ourselves, our plants, and our animals. My fruit is ripening really, really fast. So, I've done all kinds of canning. I froze some today. Probably could try drying some. But it's just getting up there to get it. So... Where there's a will, there's a way. I've been working on it. Anyway, it's too hot. Speaking, it's hot like this, you can't get out. It's only, maybe 12:30, but still, I'm standing here just sweating to death. So I am going to pick this weed, and then I'm going, and another weed. I've got to get back in the house. I don't handle heat well. Just kind of runs in my family. My sister's the same way. So that looks a little pathetic because I have been, another way in keeping hydrated is drinking things that you like. That's spearmint, and I've been cutting my spearmint and my chocolate mint and diffusing it in water and drinking the water. It's wonderfully cooling. Your mints are very cooling for hot weather. I showed you that one little cucumber back there. I'm excited because I like to eat them, but they're great to slice up and put in your water and give it a really refreshing flavor. And sometimes if you're just drinking straight water, which is good if you don't have anything else, it tends to just hurry up and rush through your body. But if you've got different material in it, and even though you strain the leaves off, there's still some stuff added to the water from the plants. Your body seems to absorb it and use it a little bit better. So anyway, I think I'm going to close this for now and hope that you all stay nice and cool. I know some of you say, I want some of that heat. It's like everything across our country and maybe the world. I don't keep up with the rest of the world that much on their weather, but it seems like it's all everything in one place. Everybody's getting all of our rain and their rain and everybody else's rain, and we're not getting any at all. And some places are cold. Now, we had some cool weather in the beginning, really cool for the first part of May. And I thought, wow, that was kind of nice to get a little break from the heat. But then we don't get this kind of heat until August, but we got it now. It went from being cool to hot, which is hard on the body. So you have to really hydrate, and that's why some of my mint plants are down pretty well. I've been harvesting them pretty heavy because it's a very cooling herb. But I'm going to close with all of that and bid you all adieu, and happy gardening, and Lord bless.